Consider this number for a moment. The average gardener who fills their beds with annual flowers, the kind that look gorgeous in May and are dead by October, spends between $300 and $500 every single spring, year after year. Over 20 years, that adds up to anywhere between $6,000 and $10,000, and every cent of it is gone. Now consider the alternative. A single peony, planted correctly just once, that can bloom reliably for 100 years. A hellebore tucked under a tree that will still be flowering in 30 years without ever being replaced. A Baptisia whose roots run so deep that drought, cold snaps, and poor soil cannot touch it. The math is not even close. This is the philosophy behind investment gardening, spending wisely once, so the garden spends almost nothing afterward. This channel has always been about working smarter in the garden, not harder. And for anyone who wants a garden that rewards patience, saves money year over year, and actually becomes more beautiful as the years pass, there is no better starting point than choosing the right long-lived perennials. So, pull up a chair. The next time spent here could reshape how gardening is approached for the rest of its life. Part 1. Reading the garden before spending a penny before selecting a single plant. The most economical thing to do is spend time simply standing in the garden at different points of the day. This is called site analysis, and it is the foundation of any intelligent planting decision. Notice where the sun falls in the morning and where it has disappeared by afternoon. Identify the low spots where water collects after rain. Look at the soil. Is it clay-heavy and slow to drain? Or does water disappear quickly into sandy ground? These observations, made before purchasing anything, will prevent the single most common and costly gardening mistake: buying the right plant and putting it in the wrong place. USDA hardiness zones matter enormously when selecting long-lived perennials. A plant rated for Zone 5 through Zone 9 offers far more reliability across varying winters than one with a narrow zone range. The good news is that most of the species discussed here cover a broad span of zones, which is part of what makes them such dependable long-term residents. Once the light conditions and drainage characteristics of the garden are understood, the selection process becomes logical rather than guesswork. Group the garden mentally into 3 categories: full sun areas, 6 or more hours of direct light daily; partial shade, 3 to 6 hours; and deep shade, under trees or along north-facing walls. Each category has its own roster of exceptional long-lived plants. Part 2. The master planting protocol before moving into specific plant selections. It is worth establishing a single, consistent method for getting perennials into the ground correctly. Repetition of this method is unnecessary for each plant because the principle is universal. Every perennial benefits from a thorough soaking in its nursery pot before planting, at least an hour in a bucket of water. A dry root ball placed into the soil, no matter how moist that soil is, will struggle to draw in moisture and can sit dormant and stressed for weeks. Soaked roots, by contrast, begin establishing almost immediately. Dig the planting hole to the same depth as the root ball, no deeper. The crown of the plant where the stem meets the roots should sit at ground level, never buried. Backfill with a mix of the excavated soil and a generous addition of well-composted organic matter. For clay soils, mixing in horticultural grit improves drainage and prevents waterlogging. For sandy soils, added compost improves moisture retention. Firm the soil gently around the root ball, eliminating air pockets, and water in thoroughly. A 2-inch layer of mulch applied around but not touching the stem will conserve moisture through the first critical growing season. For fertilizing, a slow-release granular fertilizer worked lightly into the soil at planting time gives the plant a steady supply of nutrients as its root system expands. Blood, fish, and bone is a reliable organic option. Avoid high-nitrogen feeds, which promote lush leafy growth at the expense of the root system that perennials need to establish deeply. This method, applied consistently, sets every plant up for its best possible start. Part 3. Sun Garden Investments, Plants That Will Outlast the Gardener. Long-term investment number 1. The peony, Peonia, lactiflora, and hybrids. Few garden plants carry the combination of historical weight and documented longevity that the peony does. Peonies have been cultivated in China for over 2,000 years, originally as medicinal plants, only later recognized for their extraordinary ornamental value. In the Western garden, peonies planted in the Victorian era are still blooming in old farmhouse gardens across England and North America. There are verified records of individual peony clumps living beyond 100 years, making them arguably the most economical flower available. The reason peonies live so long comes down to their root system. The fleshy, tuberous roots store enormous reserves of energy, allowing the plant to recover from harsh winters, drought, or even a season of neglect. The key to unlocking this longevity is correct planting depth. The eyes, those reddish buds at the crown, should be no more than 1 to 2 inches below the soil surface in colder zones, and barely covered in warmer ones. Plant too deeply and the peony sulks and refuses to flower, sometimes for years. Get the depth right and it rewards with fragrant, ruffled blooms every late spring with almost no further intervention. For gardens in zones 3 through 8, the classic herbaceous peonies are the choice. Consider Sarah Bernhardt for its soft, blush pink double flowers, or the dramatic deep crimson Carl Rosenfield. Both have been in cultivation for over a century and are available at most reputable nurseries. If root knot nematodes or soggy winters are a concern in warmer zones, the Idaho peony, a hybrid between herbaceous and tree peonies, offers exceptional disease resistance and a longer bloom window. Do the gardeners in the comments have a peony that has been in the family for decades? It would be genuinely interesting to hear how old the oldest ones are. That is exactly the kind of plant history worth sharing. Economical choice number 2. Baptisia. Baptisia australis in cultivars. Baptisia, commonly called false indigo, is the definition of a slow burn. In its first 2 or 3 years, it grows modestly, perhaps a foot tall. Nothing dramatic. Then, as its taproot pushes deeper and deeper into the soil, sometimes reaching 4 feet down, the plant begins to show its true character. By year 4 or 5, it forms a dense, shrub-like mound of blue-green foliage topped with spires of violet-blue flowers in spring, a display that gets larger and more impressive with every passing year. What makes Baptisia genuinely remarkable is that it resents division. Most perennials need to be dug and split every few years to maintain vigor. Baptisia does not. Plant it once in the right location, full sun, well-drained soil, and leave it undisturbed. It will reward this patience by living for decades without further investment of money or effort. The deep root system that anchors it so permanently also makes it exceptionally drought-tolerant once established, drawing moisture from layers of soil that shallow-rooted plants cannot reach. The botanical reason for this efficiency is simple. Deep roots access water reserves that persist long after the surface dries out. For gardeners interested in cultivar options beyond the traditional blue, purple smoke offers moody violet blooms with near-black stems, while lemon meringue brings soft yellow flowers that pair elegantly with ornamental grasses. Both perform reliably across zones 3 through 9. Sturdy species number 3. Sedum autumn joy Hylotlephium ex Herbstfreud. Late summer and autumn are the seasons when many gardens begin to look tired. Annuals are exhausted, early perennials have long since finished, and there is often a visual gap that nothing seems to fill. This is precisely where Sedum autumn joy earns its name and its place in any long-term garden plan. Autumn joy is a cross between a sedum and an ice plant, which gives it a more upright, structured form than typical ground cover sedums, growing 18 to 24 inches tall and forming tidy, self-supporting clumps. The flower heads emerge as pale green domes in midsummer, deepen through pink to rose, and finish as rich copper red as frost approaches. Even in winter, the dried seed heads hold their structure, providing visual interest long after everything else has collapsed, and offering seeds that goldfinches seek out on cold mornings. Hardy from Zone 3 through Zone 9, Autumn Joy tolerates poor, dry soil with ease, stores water in its fleshy succulent leaves, and asks only for full sun and reasonable drainage. Divide the clumps every 4 to 5 years in spring to maintain vigor and prevent the center from opening up. A single clump of Autumn Joy costs approximately $15 at a nursery. One division produces several new plants, meaning the original investment multiplies over time at no additional cost. Part 4. Shade garden investments: quiet, persistent, and perfectly placed, moving from the sun seekers to the shade dwellers. The garden's most undervalued real estate is often the dry, dim space beneath established trees or along north-facing borders. These spots, so often dismissed or left bare, can host some of the most long-lived and effortless plants available. Shade investment number 4. Hellebores orientalis and hybrids. Hellebores occupy a unique position in the garden calendar that no other perennial can claim. They bloom when almost nothing else does. In late winter and very early spring, when the soil is barely thawed and the rest of the garden is still dormant, hellebore flowers nod quietly above their evergreen, leathery foliage in shades of white, blush, deep plum, and near black. For gardeners in zones 4 through 9, this is color arriving precisely when it is most needed. The plant is slow to establish. Expect modest growth in the first 2 years, but once settled, a hellebore clump expands gradually and can live well beyond 30 years without needing to be lifted or divided. It thrives under deciduous trees, benefiting from winter sunlight that the bare branches allow in, and dappled shade during summer. Its evergreen foliage suppresses weeds around it throughout the year, reducing maintenance further. Once hellebores self-seed into nearby ground, as they reliably do over time, a single original plant can populate an entire shaded corner over a decade without any intervention whatsoever. For the best-named varieties, look for the Gold Collection series, which offers reliably double-flowered forms in consistent colors. HGC Jacob carries cream and green flowers. HGC Merlin offers deep burgundy purple. These named cultivars are grown from tissue culture rather than seed, ensuring color consistency that unnamed seedlings cannot guarantee. Shade investment number 5. Hosta SPP. Few plants offer the visual return per unit of effort that hostas do in a shaded garden. Their extraordinary range of foliage, from the small, heart-shaped leaves of mouse ears to the enormous blue-gray paddles of Sum and Substance, which can reach the size of a dinner plate, allows them to function as both ground cover and focal point depending on the cultivar chosen. Most hostas live for well beyond 15 years in suitable conditions, with some old clumps surviving 30 or more years in undisturbed gardens. The science behind a hosta's success in shade relates to its leaf surface. The blue-tone varieties, such as Halcyon or Hadspin Blue, carry a waxy coating on the leaf that reflects light and reduces moisture loss, an elegant adaptation that makes them particularly suited to dry shade, one of the most challenging garden environments. Gold-toned hostas like Sum and Substance perform best with a little more light, and reward it with leaves that can reach 24 inches across. The only consistent maintenance requirement is slug control in spring, when the new shoots emerge. A ring of horticultural grit around the crown, or the use of wool pellets, creates a deterrent that protects those fresh young leaves. After the first season, as the plant matures and its leaves toughen, slug damage diminishes significantly. Perennial performer number 6. Rosin Geranium rosin. If a single perennial could be described as undemanding with exceptional visual returns, the rosin cranespill geranium fits that description precisely. This cultivar, awarded the Royal Horticultural Society's Award of Garden Merit, and named Perennial Plant of the Year in 2008. Produces a spreading mound of deeply lobed foliage that smothers weeds and stays attractive even when not in bloom. The flowers, violet blue with a white eye, begin in late spring and continue without interruption until frost. Performance window of 5 to 6 months that almost no other perennial can match. Hardy in zones 5 through 8. Rosin adapts to both full sun and partial shade. Though in hotter climates some afternoon shelter extends the flowering season. The plant spreads across the ground by rhizome, filling gaps between taller plants and covering the bare soil that weeds exploit. Cut it back by half in midsummer if it begins to look untidy. Within 2 weeks, fresh foliage and new flowers will emerge. This resilience, the ability to be cut hard and recover quickly, is what makes rosin so forgiving and so well suited to gardeners who prefer a garden that manages itself. Part 5. Legacy Maintenance, Keeping the Investment Growing. The term low maintenance is often misunderstood. It does not mean zero maintenance. It means that the work is shifted from repetitive, seasonal spending and replanting, the cycle that consumes annual gardeners year after year, into occasional, purposeful actions that keep long-lived perennials performing at their best. For most of the plants discussed here, the key maintenance tasks reduce to 3 principles. First, mulch annually in early spring. A 2-inch layer of well-composted bark or leaf mold retains soil moisture, suppresses weeds, and feeds the soil biology that supports healthy root systems. Second, divide when necessary. Hostas, daylilies, and sedum benefit from division every 4 to 5 years. Peonies and Baptisia prefer to be left undisturbed. Learning which plants welcome division and which resent it prevents unnecessary disturbance and effort. Third, feed lightly and organically. A single application of slow-release organic fertilizer in early spring, blood, fish, and bone, or well-rotted garden compost worked into the soil surface, is sufficient for most established perennials. Heavy chemical fertilizers promote rapid, soft growth that is more susceptible to pests and winter damage. The concept worth returning to at the end of this discussion is this. A garden built on long-lived perennials is a garden that compounds its returns, much like a sensible financial investment. The first year, it looks modest. By year 3, it begins to fill and impress. By year 10, it is self-sustaining, weed-suppressing, and more beautiful than it has ever been, and all of that beauty was purchased once, decades ago. There is also something worth considering beyond the practical and financial. A peony planted this season may still be flowering for grandchildren, or for the next occupants of the garden long after the current gardener has moved on. That kind of permanence, a garden that outlives the person who planted it, is not a small thing. It is a legacy left in the soil. If the information here has been useful, subscribing to the channel keeps this kind of practical, no-nonsense gardening advice coming regularly. And consider sharing which long-lived perennial has given the most reliable returns in the garden over the years. That kind of real-world experience is exactly what this community is built on. The garden is waiting. Plant it once. Plant it well.